Hello, sixth grade. I am going to read to you for literature to class. We're going to start Pictures of Hollis Woods. It is a Newbery Honor book. I have a hardback copy. All of you have a paperback copy. It is by Patricia Riley, I want to say Giff, and she has written other Newbery award-winning books. I'm going to read to you the back. Just as we always do together. Hollis Woods is the place where a baby was abandoned, is the baby's name, is an artist, is now a 12-year-old girl, who's been in so many foster homes she can hardly remember them all. Hollis Woods is a mountain of trouble. She runs away even from the Reagans, the one family who offers her a home. When Hollis is sent to Josie, an elderly artist who is quirky and affectionate, she wants to stay, but Josie is growing more forgetful every day. If social services finds out, they'll take Hollis away and move Josie into a home. Well, Hollis Woods won't let anyone separate them. She's escaped the system before. This time, she's taken Josie with her. Still, even as she plans her future with Josie, Hollis dreams of the past summer with the Reagans, fixing each special moment of her days with them in pictures she'll never forget. So there's this isn't a book that I usually read with sixth grade. It's been a few years since I've read it, so I'm excited to read it again. I just remember it's a very touching story. It has drama in it, very much nowadays. Patricia Giff wrote this in 2002. If you look at the copyright on the inside, she dedicates it to Alice Tiernan, who fishes in the Delaware River, and also to Bill Riley, who fishes with her. And she gives some thanks there. So yeah, Scholastic had done this back in 2003. So I think you'll like it. It's definitely about someone your age. There's suspense. And I like picking good books. So I think that you'll like this. Instead of a packet, I'm going to put your questions every day in the Google question. So I have been doing questions. Some of them were in your packet and some of them were not. So I am going to just put them in your Google questions. So you'll answer 5 or so questions every day in place of doing the packet. And then I'll get you some vocabulary puzzles and things like that to do later on, just like normal. And then after this, this will probably take us through April. Okay, and our spelling activities will take place from this book as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. And so here we have the beginning of the Pictures of Hollis Woods. The chapters are not numbered. Oh, yes, they are. It's a little different. So there's going to be chapters and then there's going to be pictures because it's Pictures of Hollis Woods. And so this beginning of the story is actually about a picture. So it says first picture, and it has the Roman numeral X. Okay, so we'll go ahead and find out. I'm so excited to be reading another book. All right. This picture has a dollop of peanut butter on one edge, a smear of grape jelly on the other, and an X across the whole thing. I cut it out of a magazine for homework when I was 6 years old. Look for words that begin with W, my teacher, Mrs. Evans, had said. She was the one who marked in the X, spoiling my picture. She pointed. This is a picture of a family, Hollis. A mother, M, a father, F, a brother, B, a sister, S. They're standing in front of their house, H. I don't see one W word here. I opened my mouth to say, how about W for wish? Or W for want? Or W for wouldn't it be loverly? Like the song the music teacher had taught us. But Mrs. Evans was at the next table by that time, shushing me over her shoulder. "Whoo-wee!" said the kid with the dirty nails, who sat next to me. "You don't know anything, Hollis Woods." I reached for my crayon and dug an X into her picture of a snow-white washing machine. "Too bad you can't use it to get your hands clean," I said. When I think of my W picture deep inside my backpack under all the other pictures I've drawn, I think of that poor washing machine kid who cried over her ruined picture, and the frowning Mrs. Evans who told me to sit in the hall with a time-out tea letter for the rest of that long afternoon. "You don't deserve to be with the rest of us today," she said. I sat for a while looking at a picture of a pointy mountain. Someday I would climb a mountain like that. I'd build a little house, and maybe I'd have a horse that would live right in the house with me, and a dog and a cat. When I saw the principal coming down the hall, I picked myself up and walked out the door. The woman I was staying with, I called her the lemon lady, because of the way her mouth caved in, made me stay in the yard all weekend for that. "You think you're so tough," she said. "I'll show you tough." That foolish woman forgot that as long as I had a pencil and paper, I'd get along. I drew her with her pursed-up lips, then tied her picture to the tree for target practice with gravel from the path. But when I think of my W picture, mostly I think of the Reagan's house in Branches. I think of the old man and Izzy and their son, Stephen. All they needed to match my picture was a girl, G. And that's what I thought the morning I ran away from them, touching the great holly bushes, feeling their sharpness and the sticky evergreen branches that hung over the dirt road leading to town. I stopped to look up at the mountain and then at the house half hidden in the trees, the great porch tacked on the front, screens bellying out, the chimney leaning, the 2 windows upstairs that had been in my bedroom, and the river in front. My river, the Delaware. That day I thought I'd never see any of it again. Never. And in my mind, I drew an X over all of them, and over me too. Chapter 1. The house was falling apart. I could see that from the car window, but it didn't bother me. After a while the houses ran together, 4 now, no 5. There was the greenhouse where the door didn't quite close. The wind blew in and up the stairs, rattling the window panes. The White House, crumbs on the table, kids fighting over a bag of Wonder Bread. The Yellow House, sooty, a long-haired woman with braids, no rugs on the stairs, the loud sound of feet going up and down. Ah, and the house in Branches. Stephen's house, but that house was different. I'd never forget that one. "Don't think about it," Stephen said in my head. I did that a lot. I pretended Stephen was right there next to me when I knew he was miles away in upstate New York. I wondered if he ever said to himself, "What is Hollis Woods doing right this minute?" And did he put my words in his head? The driver turned off the motor. For a moment we looked out at the trees, the leaves with just a tinge of red this October afternoon. "We're here, Hollis," she said. A woman in sweats, a mustard stain on the front from the hot dogs we had eaten on the side of the road. Those hot dogs were a mean lump in the middle of my stomach, sloshing around with a Mountain Dew. She tried to talk all the way, but I hadn't answered. I slumped in my seat, feet up on the glove compartment, wearing an A&S baseball hat with the brim yanked low over my forehead. "If someone looks into your eyes," I read in a book one time, "he'll see right into your soul." I didn't want anyone to see into my soul. I knew she was dying to tell me to get my sneakers off her dashboard, but she didn't. She was waiting to deliver her speech. I could hear her getting ready for it with a puff of breath. "This can be a new start, Hollis. A new place." She licked her finger and scratched at the mustard stain. "No one knows you. You can be different. You can be good. Know what I mean? Maybe she gave that speech to every foster kid in every driveway as she dumped them off like the UPS guy dumping off packages on a busy day, but I didn't think so. I had looked into her eyes once, just the quickest look, and I had seen that she felt sorry for me, that she didn't know what to do with me. Too bad for you, mustard woman. I hummed a little of The Worms Crawl In and the Worms Crawl Out. She was an art teacher, the mustard woman said, pointing to the house. Retired now. I've never met her, but everyone at the agency says she's wonderful with kids. Her voice trailed off, but I knew she had meant to say, kids like you. I walked my feet up the dashboard so my knees came close to my chin. No one's been here with her for a while, but Emmy said it would be a good place for you. Emmy, the agency hotshot, she'd probably said, what have we got to lose? A good place for an artist like you, Hollis, the mustard woman said. Mr. Reagan, I drew in my breath. The old man. I closed my eyes as if I were ready to doze off. He wanted you to have a chance to work at your drawings. He said it would be a crime if you didn't. I tried to yawn, but then the front door opened and a woman came out on the porch with a mangy orange cat one step behind her. I didn't bother to give them more than a glance. What did I care what the woman looked like? But next to me, the mustard woman took a deep breath. I cut my eyes in the direction of the house. I was good at that, seeing everything without turning my head, without looking up, without blinking. I did blink then. Of course I did. Anyone getting a first look at Josie Cahill would do the same. It wasn't just that she was movie star beautiful, or that she was wearing a blue dress made of filmy stuff that floated around her and rings on 8 of her fingers. It was this. She had a knife in one hand. She held it in front of her so it caught the glint of late afternoon sunshine and became a silvery light itself. Lordy, the mustard woman breathed. I sat up straight, wondering if I should open the car door and run, or reach out to push the button down, locking myself in. The knife woman came close enough for me to see that the movie star face had dozens of tiny crisscross lines on its cheek and across its forehead. But then she smiled, and the lines around her mouth rearranged themselves. She leaned forward and put one hand on the car window. Hollis, she said, are you in there? Are you in here then? I couldn't take my eyes off her. I could feel a pencil in my hand, moving across the paper, drawing her face, her eyes, the knife. I reached over the seat, grabbed my backpack, and was out the door, slamming it behind me. On the other side of the car, the mustard woman was out too. Tea? The movie star asked the mustard woman as if she were reading her grocery list. Coffee? Lemonade? Orange juice? The mustard woman shook her head. She was still thinking about the knife. I just want to get Hollis settled, she said uneasily. I'm settled, I said. We all stood there for another few minutes, the mustard woman trying to fill the space around us with talk. Then at last she opened the car door again and was gone. Want me to call Josie? The movie star rubbed her forehead absently with the knife handle. If you want to do the Cahill part, you say it kale, you know, like that vegetable. She jerked her head toward the cat. That's Henry. He's a little irritable sometimes. I followed her up the path and around to the back of the house. Henry came too, reaching out to stab my leg with one irritable claw. Josie looked back over her shoulder. Hungry? I shook my head. The hot dogs were just settling in. Drop your things, she said, waving the knife. We'll get them later. In the back of the house was a different world, a garden on the edge of the woods, woods so small I could see around them to houses on the next street. I've lived here, Josie raised one eyebrow, since they invented the spoon. Who did that anyway? I asked, trying her out. Her other eyebrow shot up. The knife and fork people. Who else? I could feel a laugh coming as she waved her hand. This is my place. Carved tree branches were stuck in the dirt in the front of the woods, some of them thicker than my arm, others almost pencil thin. All of them had faces, and bits of grass or wreaths of flowers circled their wooden heads. I touched this one and that, using 2 fingers, the ones I used to shadow in my own drawings. One of the fingers had a filmy scarf around its neck and held a bird's nest in its bent arms. You? I asked. She patted the scarf and turned to look at me, head tilted. I pulled my hat down over my eyes and stared at her figures. She really was an artist. I'll make one of you, Josie Cahill said. We'll have to find the right piece of wood. I think there's one in the back. The shape of the head is there already, the nose sharp and the eyes. She stopped. But only if you stay. It will take me weeks to do, months maybe. I tried to think of what to say. I never stayed anywhere for long before I ran. One morning I'd wake up and I'd have had enough. I'd grab my backpack and go. I'd hang out in the city, see a couple of movies, or if the weather was nice, I'd head over to Jones Beach and sleep under the boardwalk. Sometimes it took them days to find me, but they never sent me back to the same place. The people in their houses had probably had enough of me, too. Josie waited for me to answer. I raised one shoulder. I'm not sure. Henry and I will treat you like our best company for as long as you stay, she said. Henry crouched at the top of the path, eyes slitted, tail switching at me. I'm glad he's not a tiger, I said, feeling that laughter again. Josie's eyes danced. Maybe we'll go back and cut that piece of wood anyway. A table leaned against the back of the house, an old redwood table with tools, a drill, an axe, and knives, sharp enough to split hairs. I reached for the axe, then followed Josie Cahill into the woods, and in my head I told Stephen, I may just stay for a while. What do you think of that? And we will stop there today. Just some things to think about here. So as the back of the book told us, Hollis is an orphan, and she is in a foster home. And so this woman, Josie, who used to be a movie star, Josie Cahill is her name. She says, if you want to say her name like the movie star people do, she said, say it like kale, like the vegetable, not Cahill, but kale, Josie Cahill. And she has a cat, Henry. And so we know that Hollis is an orphan who goes to these foster homes, and she runs away. Branches is a city in New Jersey. It's a real location. I've been there before, and to Jones Beach that they talk about here. So this is taking place in the city of Branches, New Jersey. There'll be some moving around here, but that's the most part. So the Mustard Woman is like the adoption agency or the foster home agency person who dropped Hollis off at her new home. And like she says, she doesn't ever stay long. She gets fed up and then she runs away. So that's what we know about Hollis so far, and Josie and the Mustard Woman. And you'll find out more about this Stephen guy. Okay? And Josie's not creepy. She whittles. She has pieces of tree stumps or just pieces of wood, and she whittles it with a sharp knife, like she carves. And so she's not creepy. She's not a killer waving her knife around. She's an artist, and she carves things out of wood. So we will stop there today. So we read first picture called X, and we read chapter 1. And so go ahead and answer my questions, and we'll read more tomorrow. Bye.